Tucker Carlson Tonight host sounds off on Biden's attacks on the unvaccinated Joe. Biden showed up at a construction site in Illinois last Thursday to explain what a terrific job he's been doing. Biden's poll numbers, you may have noticed, have declined recently, not just by a little bit, but by such a dramatic margin that some prominent Democrats are openly worried about it. The midterms are in a year. So the point of last week's appearance outside Chicago was to remind all of us in the country that our perceptions of Biden's performance are silly and baseless. Actually, Joe Biden is a great president. He's totally aware of what's happening. He's completely on top of things. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's got your well-being at heart. Not the narrow economic interests of some soulless multinational corporation that hates America and your family. No, you. Because Joe Biden is awesome. And to prove it, Biden talked at length about the COVID vaccine. His greatest achievement, he said. Now, strangely, Biden didn't say a lot about the vaccine itself. He did note that if you get the shot, you could not spread COVID to other people. And if there were doctors in the audience, they might have been confused because that is ridiculously and provably untrue. Of course, the vaccinated can spread COVID, and they do.
But Biden didn't pause and dwell on the science such as it is. Instead, Biden spent virtually his entire speech attacking any American who hasn't yet gotten the shot. Now you've heard him say that a lot, but it's worth taking a closer look at what Joe Biden said last week outside Chicago. Go, look it up for yourself. It's on the C-SPAN website. As you watch it, ask yourself, has any president in our history ever talked about millions of American citizens like this? This is the way presidents talk about foreign enemies or dictators talk about enemies in their midst. It's not the way American presidents talk, or ever have. Ever, for any reason, under any circumstances. We can't think of a single example, even during the Civil War. And yet, according to Joe Biden, unvaccinated Americans are the root of this country's problems. They are destroying our economy. They are killing our people. The unvaccinated, Biden said, are solely responsible for the outbreak of the Delta variant of COVID, the outbreak that has left tens of thousands of Americans dead. Biden noted this to the morbidly obese governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, who nodded from behind his mask as if all of this was settled science. And then Joe Biden kept going. The unvaccinated are dangerous, he announced. They are diseased. They are dirty. They are unpatriotic. They are selfish. They are pathogens in human form. They have caused this deadly virus to spread to our children, to spread throughout society. They suffer because of their absurdity, and their self-inflicted suffering burdens the rest of us. They overcrowd our hospitals like a plague of swarming, gasping insects. They overrun our emergency rooms and intensive care units. Americans. And as they lie, they are ventilated, dying, reaping the rewards of their own sin. These miscreants leave no room for someone with a heart attack or in need of a cancer operation. These people get no sympathy because they are barely people. The unvaccinated, Biden told us, die their much-deserved deaths, but even as they died, they burdened the rest of us. That's how horrible they are. They are subhuman, they are wreckers of a nation. We're not overstating any of this, by the way. Go watch Biden's speech, it's online. The question is, once you've identified a diseased fifth column like this within the country that you run, what do you do with them? Biden got to that toward the end of his speech. Joe Biden, these requirements work, and as the Business Roundtable, others told me when I announced the first requirement that encouraged businesses to feel they could come in and demand the same thing of their employees. More people are getting vaccinated, more lives are being saved. Let's be clear, when you see headlines and reports of mass firings and hundreds of people losing their jobs, look at the bigger story. Over the past week we've seen American, Southwest, Alaska, JetBlue Airlines all announce requirements. Yeah, there have been mass firings, the president said. But when you see reports of mass firings of law-abiding American citizens, Joe Biden told us, what you're really seeing is progress. You should celebrate. Think about that. No American president has ever made a statement like that, cheering the firing of law-abiding Americans in the multitudes. But Joe Biden did. He didn't even pause. He says things like that regularly. Now that's fine if you're on Joe Biden's side, apparently. But what if Joe Biden was talking about you? What if he was talking about your livelihood, your career, the future of your family? How would you feel? We should consider that, because these are Americans he's talking about, and as we do consider that, think about what happened to air travel in America over the weekend. Southwest Airlines, you may have read this, one of our biggest carriers all but shut down on Saturday and Sunday. The airline cancelled thousands of flights. It threw the nation's famously efficient system of air travel into total chaos. It stranded countless travelers in airports. Again, you saw it on the news. The question is, how did this happen? Well, the official explanation came right away. It was bad weather on the eastern seaboard. There were thunderstorms. There were also unspecified issues with air traffic control, and all of that together forced Southwest Airlines, alone among airlines, to cancel its flights. That's what the company Southwest Airlines claimed. They claim that in a statement to us today, a long statement. It's what many media outlets have repeated uncritically for the past 2 days. And yet we can tell you it is untrue. All of that is a lie. It's not what happened. We've spoken to several people with direct knowledge of what actually did happen. We can tell you that the shutdown of Southwest Airlines over the weekend was a direct consequence. It was a reaction to Joe Biden's vaccine mandates. It began last week when Gary Kelly, who is the CEO of Southwest, sent an internal memo to his employees declaring that, for Joe Biden's directive, any Southwest employee who was not fully vaccinated by the 8th of December will be fired. Canned. Done, right before Christmas. Now, this would include not simply pilots on Southwest and flight attendants, of course, but ramp workers, mechanics, dispatchers, schedulers, ticket agents, people from the top to the very bottom. Many thousands of people.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.